Sam? Where did he go? Not. Oh! Thank God. Anyway, it's time. Once again for an episode of Mid-Card Mono. We got over here Sam Killer, the Wrestling Connoisseur. We got over here Loose Cannon. And we got...
Coming through the door.
And second round.
Future World Champ.
Number one Mid-Card Mono announcer, Future World Champ, Allison. The Crusher.
The Crusher. Go watch cartoons.
Trying to take my...
Do you need help? Oh, you got it. It's going to help her. Anyway. Today we are focusing on what's been going on in WWE lately. With, of course, the builds towards Money in the Bank. And the kind of confusing booking that they've had lately. As far as certain feuds that they're trying to set up going into Money in the Bank.
I have no idea. I've been watching, but I don't know. Like we were saying earlier, the build since the Greatest Royal Rumble has been...
Baffling.
has been, really baffling. The last 2 weeks, week before last, the main event, Finn Balor versus Braun Strowman. Braun booked as a heel. And you have, I will say it, probably the number one babyface in the company. Definitely number one babyface on Raw. Booked as a heel in the main event versus Finn Balor. Probably the number two babyface on Raw. Or number three. Depends on what you look at it. But definitely two of the top, within the top five.
Oh, yeah.
Baby faces. And it really makes you question. They had Braun wrestled the heels match. And Balor really coming on strong as a babyface. Mm-hmm. You're watching the match. You're wanting Balor to win. He's playing this underdog babyface. It was set up very much like a David versus Goliath. Yeah.
Sort of.
And I mean, they did a great job at it. So I'll give them credit there. It's just Braun's not a heel. If they wanted to turn him heel, this would have been a great way to have done it, I think. But wow,
but they didn't.
It was.
Please feel free to have chips also.
It just really takes you out of it, for me at least.
Yeah.
You see, you're the big guy that you've been pulling for. You've done all this work to get him over as this babyface since WrestleMania, the Greatest Royal Rumble, everything prior to that. Fans have just been cheering for him.
And he's just very naturally
week.
A babyface, just with how he approaches being in this business.
And suddenly you have him just like, oh, I'm going to destroy my partner from last week.
Yeah. Like,
and,
what is
even
the
if you had like Stephanie McMahon out there to stir the shit, it made no sense whatsoever to have this match. At the end of it, Braun picks up Balor. That's supposed to somehow save face. I don't think it really worked. Didn't work for me. Then this past week, we had a rematch of it to start the show.
Yeah. Balor comes out, slaps him in the face.
Yeah, slaps the shit out of Braun. And I mean it. Yeah.
It didn't help anyone.
Hadn't helped no one. Of course, Kevin Owens was out there too.
Yeah, doing great heel work.
Kevin Owens, phenomenal heel as always. Mm-hmm. And
really trying to egg on both of them.
Yeah, I mean, it worked a little bit better with Owens in that position than Stephanie last week. If anything, I think they should have had Owens and Stephanie kind of showed a little bit more solidarity instead of Stephanie hating everybody.
Yeah.
But, they had that moment where Kevin's over, he's like this, and then Stephanie gets all mad at him.
Yeah.
I mean, Kevin doesn't need that extra rub as a heel, but it just would have been a lot nicer.
And I do understand the purpose of why he's in the Money in the Bank match as far as being on the Raw side. It's because he's their top heel right now.
He definitely is.
As far as effectiveness and ability to work a crowd.
Yeah. Ability to work a crowd, definitely he's the top heel. Otherwise, I would say the top face of the company is the top heel. that gets booed out of every arena. But that's a whole other thing we'll get to. So, also, week before last, probably the most talked about segment
Oh.
on the internet,
Oh.
Bobby Lashley's sisters,
Oh.
which was a horrible segment that they actually had to do an
They
apology
sort of
for this
reneged
week,
on it.
which was I thought was pretty funny actually that
I loved it.
they felt the need to come out and actually make a statement about
I mean,
it.
they lampshaded it
They did.
very well in that segment, I felt.
You know, and I mean, whether you take it at face value or not, they made their apology.
Yeah.
And, man, Sami Zayn healing it up. I mean, I have not seen Sami heal things up this much up to this point.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
though,
he did a
right?
great job. Don't get me wrong. Sami sold everything worth $1 million.
He tried so hard.
And as much
think
as
to make it
Sami was
work.
doing it, as good as he was doing it, it still fell so flat on its face.
Yeah.
Bobby Lashley comes out to 0 fan participation.
I know.
The music hits and the crowd is checking their
They're
phones.
just dead.
They're going to get
You
drinks.
don't hear that, rapturous thunder of comeuppance when, the face comes out and is about to show the heel. You got none of that.
Bobby Lashley reaching out to slap fans' hands and nobody's
His
reaching
list
back.
has gotten a lot less noticeable, though. I will say that. And honestly, I thought that was good because at least it shows an awareness.
It does.
Of him trying to improve.
I don't
not
wanna diss Bobby
improve,
Lashley.
but I mean, acknowledge that it is ineffective.
I don't want to diss him
Scared of Bobby Lashley.
because I think he has come a long way.
And I agree.
But I believe that Bobby Lashley's there and he's doing exactly as he's told from Vince McMahon, from the producers of the matches and whatnot.
Oh yeah,
And he's following his script and he's there to make money and he is the complete yes man for this job.
It's just a decided lack of, or not decided, but it's just a lack of charisma.
It really is in a lot
And
of
it's
ways.
unfortunate
because
I think this isn't the part for him.
He has a very specific look that they love.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as far as that, he has a charismatic look. When he's shaking Sami Zayn's hand and Sami's trying to pull away, you could see Bobby Lashley's just muscles just rippling.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he has everything except that
It.
extra. He doesn't have the it factor. So, you kind of have to, figure out what to do with him to get that.
And I mean, we've seen in the past, especially with how much more success I feel he found in Impact, the character that he's currently playing just doesn't work for him.
And I will give Impact this, is that they really had a lot of people that worked with him. You had, at different stages, when you had him as a heel, you had him as a face, you had him working with guys like MVP, or you had him with a MMA team that come out and did a lot of the talking for him. And even the guys he was working against, if he was a face, he was working with guys that would come out and talk the talk.
Yeah.
And right now you have Lashley introduced in such a nonchalant way. It
Makes it hard for people to care.
Yeah, it's
again.
like, look, it's Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley hasn't been on WWE TV in
I think
10 years.
I think that the banking on trying to get that nostalgia feel. Remember, he used to be here, now he's back. Nostalgia. It didn't work for him because I think
there was nothing.
they didn't emphasize it enough. One, and they
Yeah.
didn't capitalize on him back when he was really big in Impact. They let too much time pass by.
I got a question. When did he leave WWE? Do you even remember?
I don't.
The last big match I remember was versus Umaga. Donald Trump, Vince McMahon thing. I believe it was at a WrestleMania. When did he come back?
For this latest run, you mean?
Just found
Right after Mania.
Tadpole.
You just found a tadpole?
Yeah.
What?
It's a bug.
Oh. Was it WrestleMania he come back?
Oh, I think right after.
The Monday after.
Yeah.
See, to me, I would have, for the build of WrestleMania, I would have been playing up that versus Umaga match.
Mm-hmm. But Umaga's also a persona non grata.
You know, I would have done anything that would have had Bobby Lashley in it that would have related to the current product and been like, oh look, you know, remember this guy? Also, I would have sent him to NXT. Honestly, I would have gone him to NXT and built some hype, even if he was only there for 6 months.
Have him go to NXT. Have EC3 come up.
I mean, right? Yeah. They could have done like an invasion angle or anything. I mean, I don't know. There's a plethora of things that they could have done that
And
they
they chose
didn't
not to
do.
do.
They did nothing. Was the thing. If it was me and if I was Vince McMahon, and I was the final say of what was going on. I honestly would have brought Lashley in as a heel because he's worthless as a face right now.
I was gonna say he's also just more effective as that. Look at how much stronger and tougher and da I am than you.
So
That's when he was most effective in TNA. I feel.
You have Brock in there. Everybody's gunning for Brock.
Mm-hmm.
So you do that. You have everybody gunning for Brock. So Paul Heyman brings in somebody to have Brock's back, and that would have been Bobby Lashley. And you get that little rub off of Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley. You can still build up to the Brock versus Lashley match. But you'd at least get Bobby over a little bit with Heyman's voice. And then let his in-ring work speak for itself. And then from there, you could have whatever happen. Who knows? You know,
Something.
Brock loses the title. Maybe Bobby and Brock get the tag titles. Because they don't like the tag titles anyway on WWE.
At least we did get to see them this past week. That was kind of nice. I was glad. Because I was just reflecting like 5 minutes before it came on. I was like, I haven't seen in a while Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt. And they're the Raw Tag Team Champions.
I think they were on the week before too. Maybe it was the week before. Anyway, it was nice to see that they have a solid tag finisher now. Before it was a twist of fate, but Bray was just holding the guy up.
Yeah.
But now it's essentially it's a double flatliner. But what was it they called it?
I don't remember.
Something.
But it was nice to see the tag team division. And I know there's been a lot of talk lately, mostly in websites like Cage-Side Seats and a couple others, where it's very noticeable how the tag team division and the WWE, and not just specifically Monday Night Raw or SmackDown Live, but just in general, there's been a sort of weird decline, which is insane considering the fact that they've done so much great tag team work, specifically in SmackDown Live. And I'm talking about, of course, the Usos, who I'm a big fan of, the New Day, which are probably their biggest mainstream success as far as merchandise sales as well as people caring about the product. How do you like the New Day?
They're like my favorite tag team of all.
They're great, right?
Right.
They're an excellent tag team, and yet even they struggle to get on TV as much as they deserve, I think. I think there should be a little bit more emphasis on tag team dominance.
Whose chip is that?
I think it's your dad's. You can eat it if you want.
Aunt's gonna bring it to him.
You're a good daughter, Allison. But I mean, when you look at the different segments they have, or the amount of time they dedicate on a regular television basis to tag teams, it's really sort of a rat race in a sense. I mean, only the B team recently, B stands for best.
The best team.
The best team.
I wish the Mr. Rons went to SmackDown too.
But then they can beat up everyone on Raw. which I'm glad. I want to watch them beat up the Ascension.
I want to watch them beat up the other one.
The other one?
Yeah.
Yes.
The Bludgeon Brothers.
You wanna watch the B team versus the Bludgeon Brothers?
Yeah.
The B team versus the Double Bs. I like it. I would support this because I'm a big fan of Curtis Axel. The chains are in fact off.
The chains are off.
The chains are off.
Chains are off.
That
And of
I
course
took
the-
your spot.
The B team barbecue.
Yeah, pass me my water.
Here you go. How did you like that B team barbecue?
Was probably the best part of
Yeah.
the show.
Because B stands for best.
Yeah,
They're the best team.
they absolutely are. Yeah, I mean, it definitely was. It was the best part of the show.
And I like how well they can still get that heel heat even though they're getting super over his faces.
This is my seat now.
It's so true.
So it's nice to see how they as a tag team are really starting to rise up to the surface.
You want to know what our storyline in our wrestling show is?
What's that?
John Cena's blind.
You can't see him and now you can't see anything else. Like
Right. Let's go over. Okay, let me sit down.
So we're talking about
Go.
tag teams specifically.
Tag team.
Tag teams.
Over.
And how it's a shame that they're not really utilizing the tag team
They're not,
division as
and-
well as they were maybe even a couple months ago.
No, don't sit on the table. Sit down.
It's just really sort of a shame.
Last night was a good example of that because you saw the Raw tag teams out there, and you have to think like, okay, well, how many tag teams were actually used? You know, in a match,
Yeah, when was the last time before that we saw
And
Heath
it's-
Slater and Rhino?
right? I was surprised we actually got to see Ascension.
They also wrestled though.
They did.
They wrestled
That's what I'm
against
saying.
tag team
I was really
champions.
surprised we got to see them in a match. I mean, it's ridiculous that there's so many good tag teams there that aren't being used at all.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, to me, it's like tag team is the heart of wrestling. You use your tag teams to start the show, for your filler matches. And then you have your top tag teams that you want to use. I mean, they were using Cesaro and Sheamus for a good while, but I feel like that was because Sheamus was already kind of a top build guy, and Cesaro was already a featured guy. So that just made a little bit more sense. But they really seem to have fallen back on using their tag teams.
Yeah. And I mean, even Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy are treated more as a gimmick than anything else.
Yeah, I'm not sure how long that's going to go. We did get to see Ziggler and McIntyre.
Yes.
But that was a singles competition.
They're not being treated as much as a tag team.
Right. So I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what their plans are right now. The way they're focusing on a variety of different things. But we're getting a lot of crap and not a lot of good content.
And it
And
makes
with-
it difficult to care.
It does, and with the upcoming move of SmackDown to Fox Network at some point, you would think they would really be trying to put on some good shows. Ratings have been down, actually,
Yeah.
so that also is. Now,
On both Raw
think
and
it's-
SmackDown, though.
I think it's very telling for USA to say no. We'd rather pay more for Raw and not have SmackDown, and I don't think that's a good thing.
No.
I mean, they're saying they want more for Raw. Wrestling or Monday nights is a wrestling night, so I feel like them just paying more is just because they want a top build wrestling show on Monday nights. Period. You know, even if it's not doing as well in the ratings, it's still one of the top ratings of the night.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Well, 'cause
people are
and
flipping
it's-
through channels looking for wrestling.
When it's it's become sort of expected at this point where it's Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
It's been Monday
So-
Night Raw for a long time.
But for SmackDown programming, there's never been an established night for the next show. It goes Thursdays and Fridays. It's been Wednesdays. It's been
Tuesdays now.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Apparently, Fox has already said that they're willing to pay this big amount, but they want stars, top names on the show. So it'll be interesting
And
to see
Daniel Bryan's
how-
only a top name to people like us.
Right. So it'll be interesting to see how they swap this stuff around.
Yeah.
Especially since they moved Samoa Joe over there
The Miz.
to get him away from Roman Reigns. Stop.
Okay.
To get him away from Roman Reigns. And then now it looks like Roman Reigns will be going to SmackDown when it goes to Fox.
Which is hilarious.
So I don't know what they'll plan to do there. But with the fact that they'll have pay-per-views all together now, we can see like some title swaps in the picture.
Yeah.
To get each guy off of their programming or something.
It gives a lot more opportunity for blending.
Yeah.
My cup.
And does
Take your
give a lot
cup
more
over to the other
opportunity
side.
for, fresh matchups.
It's dripping all down my back.
I know. That's all I could think of.
I was just waiting for it to get dumped on my head.
Smash.
I mean,
Do
speaking
not.
speaking of
What?
someone that my family has recently been won over by,
Yeah.
as far as understanding their talent, is Elias.
I tell you, the breakout star is Elias, and it's so cold. It's hard to concentrate. Cold kisses.
I mean,
The
especially
he really
showing-
is. He's the breakout star.
last night.
'Cause he has a crowd in his palm of his hands.
But not only that, but I mean, how he runs his segments and cuts his promos, it gives a lot of opportunity for them to go as long or as short as they need. And I think they've become
It
kind of
does.
dependent upon that.
Here's the problem, though. 2 or 3 years ago, we could have said the same thing about Bray Wyatt. And we see where that is now.
Well, Bray Wyatt, I think, fundamentally was different because of how he was introduced. So he was always
That's
introduced with a group, and then once they took the group away from him, they had no idea what to do.
Even before
So
that,
they always showed him as more of like a leader of a group rather than as a single star on his own. Whereas Elias has always been
even before that, though, I
Elias.
feel they just booked Bray very badly.
oh yeah.
And Elias has somewhat been protected.
I mean,
but
we
then
can
at the same time,
we can have a whole video talking about
we
how
could.
how they've messed up Bray Wyatt.
at the same time, while they've protected Elias, they haven't done
Next we
anything
should
with
have
him.
a boot fight video.
You know, they really haven't done anything with Elias yet. He's had a lot of good matches here and there, but he hasn't had any long-standing major feuds that he's
Yeah,
come
he
out.
hasn't had that
to establish
breakout
him yet.
moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's been done on purpose. You know, they don't want to use him up just yet. He's kind of like their go-to guy without using him.
It's kind of like you're in 12th grade and you just go to college. It's kind of like that.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't see how they can't use Elias. Like, I mean, that would be my guy. I would totally be building him up right now.
Instead of people like Baron Corbin.
Yeah, Baron Corbin's ridiculous. I got a monkey on my back. Just being slowly crushed over here. This is parenthood right here, folks.
It's because she's the crusher. But, I mean, when you look at it, it's very difficult because Elias is at a very
Get down.
weird and kind of nebulous level. So he's not he's not so bad that he's considered a jobber.
Right.
But he's clearly not on the same level as a lot of other mid-card talent. So it's very difficult to figure out a place where he needs to be.
Yeah.
So he just gets used as filler a whole lot of time, which is great for him. TV time, I get it. But
I think
then
a lot
there's
of
no
times
advancement.
They think that because of his gimmick, because he can get heat from the crowd and whatnot, that he doesn't need a lot of these, wins or anything else, which is, rudimentarily.
It's a school of thought,
fine,
I guess.
But at some point, you're going to want to build him.
Or at least do something.
Yeah.
Do something a little bit more concrete. Maybe it's a build, maybe it's feeding him to build someone else.
This is essentially the last few weeks of Raw right here.
Yeah. Bryce telling you last week's.
I mean, let's talk about the women's division.
Do we have to?
I mean, let's try and keep it brief because I know we could both talk for like 2 hours about the women's
division. It sucks. Next.
But I mean, the one thing that I had a really big problem with, and I think I'm in a weird majority but also minority, depending upon
Bye.
what sort of marks you talk
Get
to.
down first.
I don't want to get.
No, you just put ice on my head. Come on.
I have a real problem with the turning of Nia Jax so quickly. And with very little context.
There was no context, not even a little bit.
It's fair.
We had a off-air. We had an off-air episode where they were at some function and Nia challenged Ronda, which I thought was
Dad,
the worst ever.
Water?
I mean, it was framed. It was framed in the context. It's framed in the context of it was supposed to be like a show of respect for both of them, and that
I didn't buy it.
She thinks that Ronda's really good, so she wants to prove herself, and then
I didn't buy it at all.
This past Monday Night Raw, she goes completely heel.
Yeah.
On Rousey.
Yeah. It was awful.
And of course that poor girl in the ring.
It was awful. Especially because we've tried so hard to get Nia over as a face.
And she's a good. I like her as a face. Okay,
she's great as a face, especially the bullying aspect.
I think especially because she is representative of a different demographic. So people like me, fat chicks who like to eat and get made fun of because they're like 200 pounds and 5'2".
And to me, that gimmick was working. You're hitting a demographic there. Her shirt, I'm not like most girls, just like the song. She comes out, she's all smiles. She is the epitome of this image they're trying to get across, the anti-bullying.
Oh, you can overcome the people that bully you. And you don't have to stoop to their level, I think was another big point.
Yeah. Out of
you
the
can
blue,
rise above.
They have her challenge Ronda, who has had one match. They've actually made it a point to make the statement she's had one match. Rousey declined, and then she accepts. And to me, it was idiotic. They know it's idiotic, or they would have had her said, "Oh, there's plenty of others in line for me." They had to make that statement because they know this match is not a proper way of doing things.
Yeah.
And Rousey, honestly, I don't think she's ready at all.
Do you think that Nia Jax will be the one to beat her?
No.
I don't think so either.
They're going to strap Rousey. And I don't think we'll see that women's title. I mean, it's going to be the same thing as Lesnar. The fans are going to resent her. And it's just...
I think they've been pleasantly surprised that people were pleasantly surprised by her WrestleMania match. So I think they're just like,
Yes.
oh well then they'll be fine with her winning, which isn't the same thing.
Lock the door. I think people were pleasantly surprised because it didn't suck up the place. Mm-hmm. That's not the same as she's ready to carry the belt. It's this bubble that they live in that they think all of a sudden. Oh.
I wonder if they have it so that the women's Money in the Bank ladder match is the curtain opener. I don't think it's gonna happen, but what if they have it that, and then someone from Raw wins it, cashes in the main event, and is the one that beats Nia. Rousey doesn't take the pin.
Seriously, Allison.
Oh, it's locked. Oh, here. I thought she unlocked it. I'm sorry.
Don't have kids.
I don't know how to do this. Sorry.
Don't have kids.
I don't know how doors work.
This is a PSA.
She just locked it.
Hi.
Hi.
Tell everybody hi.
Hi.
Okay. The best option would be for them to do that. But who from Raw was in it besides Sasha?
So, Monday Night Raw, for the women's Money in the Bank, there is Ember Moon, there's Sasha Banks, there's Alexa Bliss, and Natalya.
Okay. Natalya wins.
That's what I think is going to happen
cashes in
too.
on Ronda. And then Ronda's first feud is with Natalya. The friendship thing that they just built up, and you have your premier women's wrestler for WWE right now, probably the best women wrestler fundamentally that they have. No, you don't like Natalya, but she's probably fundamentally
I don't have
best
any.
wrestler.
I don't have any. I'm pretty ambivalent towards Natalia.
And that
is what it is.
That's
I
who she
can
has in her
acknowledge that she's the locker room leader. She's the ring
this
general
would
of
be,
that division.
This will be Batista. First title run, and his feud is with Triple H. He has that ring general to try to get him over.
Yeah.
The problem is, Ronda doesn't have a JBL. She and all these other ring generals also to go to, like Batista did. So, I don't know. I think it's rushing it.
I agree.
Like, you don't need to have the belt on her to have that feud. But she needs a long build. And she needs a lot of training before she's going to carry that belt.
I feel like
I don't think
if
anybody's
she's
going to
win a belt, it should be, maybe next year or late this year.
Yeah.
Just have her established as a character for quite some time.
Let the fans.
And especially because she made such a big deal when she started that she wants to earn it. She wants to make fans like her and to make them realize that she is in it for the long haul.
WWE wants to capitalize on the fact that she has a name value, and they're afraid that within a year's time that name value is going to fade.
Which it probably will, honestly.
But if
I get that.
she really learns the trade and she's good, then
It doesn't have to.
It's not going to matter. But if they push her now this hard, this fast, and she sucks, fans are going to turn on her super easy. I mean, look what happened to Roman.
Yeah.
Roman wasn't awful in the ring, but he wasn't great when they started pushing him like a madman. Mm-hmm. They pushed him over other people who were more deserving, especially at the time. Everybody was behind Daniel Bryan, and the fans just turned on him. Like, he got booed out of Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's these things aren't flukes. I don't know. It's very surprising that how right now wrestling is more accessible than ever for wrestling fans. There's way more options now, and
Tons.
WWE is sucking the life out of their product.
Yeah.
Hello.
I don't know.
Cute. I mean, as far as that
I'll
goes,
turn into Minnie Mouse.
SmackDown wise, not to jump ship already from Raw, but that's the gist of it. SmackDown wise, I don't know. I mean, this seems like they're still on the Shinsuke being a comedian clown thing, which doesn't work for me.
I liked it in the beginning, but I think now it's become sort of a one-trick sort of pony thing.
Yeah.
And
heels cannot be funny.
They have they have so much opportunity to show what made him so insanely popular in Japan, where he was kind of heelish and just had that cockiness and that swagger. And yeah, he was kind of funny sometimes. But
I think
he wasn't such a caricature.
Right.
Which I think is unfortunate because he is so naturally charismatic that they're just draining it. Completely draining it and not taking advantage of it at all.
Had a really bad build for Shinsuke from the get-go.
Yeah.
When he come up to the main roster.
I have a theory about this, actually.
My thing is, like, for heels, you can laugh at heels all day long. Look at Bobby Heenan. Heenan is like the guy you want to emulate if you want to be a funny heel.
Yeah.
If you look at the B team, you want to laugh at the heels. You don't want to laugh with them or because of them. You know what I'm saying? Heels shouldn't be comedians. They should be, the B team's funny, but they're not trying to be funny.
Yeah,
it's
funny
laugh.
and sort of like these guys are hapless.
Yeah. So I mean, they're cowards and they're goofballs and this and that. They're not trying to be funny. Like, I'm gonna tell this joke and it's the crowd's in on it, and that's what Shinsuke's being right now.
Yeah.
And so I think that doesn't work with heels. It can work with the face, it can't work with heels. And DX blurred that line a lot because DX was face, DX was heel, back and forth, and so that blurred the line a lot. So a lot of wrestling fans don't get that, but when heels try to be funny, it turns them face automatically.
Yeah.
And so this whole Shinsuke thing just, it's not working. They need to make him heel, like legitimate heel.
They need to let him be the king of strong style.
Yeah.
Not the artist. Or whatever.
I think that they should have put Hideo and Tozawa with him. Despite how cliche it is, it'd give them something to do. It'd give them a much bigger stage to perform on.
Make them a new Chaos.
Yeah. Plus it gives Shinsuke, Chaos is coming to SmackDown. It gives Shinsuke a reason to be heel, reason to win matches. They have to be cheap for him or whatever. Speaking of Chaos coming to SmackDown.
When will it happen?
Apparently AOP for Raw.
Yeah, I saw that. And
Sanity for SmackDown. They've called them up and they have
Creative has nothing for you.
Yes, they have nothing. We saw Sanity go back to NXT there for a little bit because Creative had nothing.
Yeah, I mean, we also saw the Revival go back. Actually, this is a good point to make. We've seen a lot of talent that flourished in NXT, kind of floundered on the main roster, go back to NXT. And not for, a permanent move or anything, but just sort of like one-offs.
Yeah.
And they returned to huge crowd, response.
Yep.
Tyler Breeze went back and had a main event match against someone, I forget who I want to say. I want to say it was Aleister Black.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think he had a title match.
It's
against Aleister Black.
It's very concerning.
The Revival went back and fought against the Undisputed Era. Ty Dillinger went back. So you see, there's so many people that just get to the main roster.
It's very sad since
That's awesome.
It's great. since they're not doing anything with them on the main roster. They have no idea what to do with them. For creative to say we have nothing for you, or that excuse to be used, is...
Are you okay? I think she's okay.
She's fine. She'll be right. There's no excuse for it.
It's totally lazy.
How do you not have something for Sanity or AOP? How do you not have something for any of these guys? It is this complete laziness.
How did you bring them up and not already have some sort of plan in motion?
And that's the thing. AOP has already been brought up. They've already been introduced. Now you're telling us that they're just in it out. I mean, how do you justify any of this?
Like, what was the point of it? Was it to just be like, oh, here's the big WrestleMania. Everyone expects people to move up after WrestleMania. Here it is. Just kidding.
I mean, they could have done something this week instead of the barbecue thing. The B team. I don't know what the plans for the B team are. This whole undefeated thing. Kurt Angle could have been like, no, you have a match tonight. You beat these guys, you got your title shot.
Yeah.
And they could have faced AOP. I don't know what they would have done from there.
They could face anybody.
The thing is, you have 3 hours of programming on Raw, and you cannot squeeze these guys in. You have all this programming that does not advance the product in any way, and you can't squeeze these tag teams or other characters in.
Also,
SmackDown's a little bit shorter, but they're going to be going to 3 hours.
Speaking of squeezing in time for people, I feel like the women's gauntlet match on Raw, to bounce back to Raw. Yeah, that was my reaction too. And I mean, I think it's a shame that they didn't handle it in a way that made each and every single one of these women look like viable competitors. Because it's the whole point of the women's revolution, or the women's evolution, or whatever you want to call it.
Well, that's done. I mean, it has de-evolved already.
And the thing that bothers me the most about it is, and I'm not the biggest fan.
NXT has better women's matches.
I'm not the biggest fan of Liv Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
My little cousin loves her. She has good entrance music, I'll go for that. But I mean, she just got completely destroyed. She didn't get any opportunity to show any sort of improvement, prove that she's worthy of being part of the Riot Squad, especially when Sarah Logan at least had a little bit more of a showing, and Ruby Riott almost made it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're showing these three to be on sort of the same level, and that they all came together because they're on the same level, but all three of them experienced difficulties with trying to get their due shot. And by showing Liv Morgan get completely crushed, you completely undermine all of that as far as her story goes. Also, the dance-off between Lana and Naomi.
Tonight. You seen it yet?
No.
I don't know.
But speaking of the de-evolution, I guess you could say.
Speaking of Lana, they're going to break up Rusev Day.
Yeah.
It's going to blow up in their face.
I feel
this was something I really feel like Aiden English added something to Rusev.
I agree.
Once you break them apart, I think Aiden English is just going to fade out. He's going to be a curtain jerker, and I think
but he's
Rusev is still going to get cheered. He's not going to be booed at all. You know, I mean, English on his own isn't over enough to turn Rusev heel. So I don't know what the plan there is. I mean, Rusev is going to be cheered. He's going to be your top heel, cheered.
Mm-hmm.
You have Roman, your top face, booed. It's like they have no idea what they're doing anymore.
Well, I think it's been interesting seeing the interactions in Rusev Day, that small mini faction, I guess you could say, of Rusev, Lana, and Aiden English. And it's appearing that Lana and Aiden English are going to fall on one side of this, and Rusev's going to go solo.
I feel like what they're going to do is
They've been routinely keeping Rusev separate from Lana.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to pull off a little Savage thing and try to turn Rusev heel by saying Aiden English stole Lana. And then they'll have a match for Lana or something like that. You know, they probably have this all planned out, and it'll probably never happen because they rush things way too fast.
Yeah.
And they get halfway through, they get it started, and it ends. You know, it ends before it even gets started.
So I suppose we'll see. It's just
This is WWE, and this is all the storylines, and it just is like, storylines? What? Oh, who needs a storyline?
his hip.
His hit. Oh no, Big Show should be back at some point whenever they get.
You know who should be back at some
Creative
point? You know who
for
should
him.
be back soon?
Mark Henry.
I guess
He
him
retired.
too. But I mean, he also showed up in the Greatest Royal Rumble, so
Should have been.
retired.
Uh,
You know who we haven't seen in a while? My guy. Hold on.
Neville?
That too, I guess. Although he's more of my auntie's guy than my guy.
Your guy. Your guy. Your guy.
No,
Brock?
don't look. Don't look.
Alright, you work on that.
Goldberg.
This has been the weirdest one.
Goldberg. Let me take a guess.
Here.
Goldberg.
What is that? Oh, dude.
Yeah. I mean, admittedly, my original guy in WWE, honestly.
Want me to tell you my original guys?
was in bad shape, though.
He's rehabbing in Alabama. He's living there full time, just working on rehabbing
You know
it.
rehab is
Alabama?
bad when you move to Alabama.
Oh, there's thunderstorms there.
You're interesting. Yeah. You moving to Alabama? That's serious stuff. Nobody wants to move to Alabama.
What?
I don't know.
Thunderstorm?
There's the Space Center. I would go there a lot.
I've never been to Alabama, so I really can't.
Bobby Eaton is there. Guess that's a good reason to go.
Bobby Lashley?
The only good reason for me to go to Alabama is if that's the only place in which Kenny Omega will marry me. That's it.
You
Then go out.
or
realize Kota Ibushi is probably going to get
Or-
married to Kenny
or
Omega
Hiromu.
before you do.
Hiromu. But this isn't a New Japan video, so.
Alright.
So want to start the match?
The state of WWE as we see it, as we've seen it in the past couple of weeks. I am Bobby Lashley's sister, the one with the broom and the mustache. That one's me.
Can I have a paper?
Yeah. I don't know.
It's just it's been rough. It's been rough being a fan of the WWE
Has-
the last couple of weeks because it's getting harder to motivate yourself to watch it for fun. Yeah, pretty much. Anyway, that is this week in the E. This last couple weeks in the E. In the WWE. Because he wants to walk with Elias.